guest that is the only person below White Holiday in the ComicsGate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sammetti. The YouTube WyzGyz. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.
Hello. Welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. It turns out that we are live now.
Woohoo!
All right. Yeah, we had some unexpected delays, but we're good now. Hello.
All right. Sorry about that, peeps. Just caught up doing some stuff with my kids.
So how are you doing today? What's new with you?
I'm doing well. It's just I'm grateful to the community, just trying to continue to share Magna. Just enjoying a ton of good books that the community is putting out. It's crazy, man. I mean, like, this last quarter has just really solidified just the power of what's going on in independent comics. I mean, man, the stuff that DC in particular is doing seems so self-destructive.
I know.
And, I mean, they're taking characters they obviously don't love, but we love, and doing all these kind of crazy things with them. They're just giving more reason why I'm just, I want to back indie books because I want there to be good comics. This isn't anything personal against the big two. They're not doing the comic book industry justice right now. And I want there to be comics. I want there to be a comic book industry. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I understand them wanting to push an agenda and stuff, but it's like, do you really want to go that far as to risk putting your company out of business?
Yeah.
Is it really worth all that? Because, I mean, it sounds like they're going down the tubes anyway. And that seems to be the direction. It's almost like they gave up the ghost and
seriously.
All right, we give. We don't know what we're doing.
So we'll just push them. We'll push some initiatives and that we have on the way down. But the problem is this. I mean, this is the reason why ComicsGate is working so well, is that the people that are creating books are also the people that are buying books. So fundamentally, creators are making stuff that folks want to read, and they've gotten away. The big two have gotten away from what people want to read. And you know what? If there are people that are on the boards of the company or in there and they have their own personal initiatives, they can have those. But you have to be aware of you got to be aware of who your fans are. And at the point when you decide, rather than take care of my fans, I would rather push my own personal agenda, you don't have a business anymore. They're not operating a business anymore. They're just pushing their ideals. And I'm not even here to say what's right or wrong about the ideals. I'm just here to say that's not what comics are about. Comics are about us enjoying. We all live ordinary lives. I don't want that. I don't want all this mess in my books. I want something fantastical. I want something extraordinary. I want something that takes me out of the, takes me away, that takes me someplace fantastic that I can really enjoy. And the comics have lost that.
Yeah, absolutely. They've lost their passion for the properties. They've lost focus. The people in there now have no idea what made their characters great. And at least in the case of DC, based on what I've been listening to on EVS's streams, it's like so many of the key executives in the company have been let go.
Yeah. That
all that's left are like the interns, and nobody knows who they're. Nobody knows who to report to or have the experience to make key decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you said. It's almost like that institutional knowledge is gone, and it's like even knowing what made the company great. And the crazy thing, though, is the fans know what made the books great. The fans, we've been with the books throughout the decades. We've seen the different things that have happened, and it's almost like you have folks that have no idea about that history, that are now in the middle of the business, and they're trying to resuscitate or revive something they don't understand. It's not as tough as they think. It's like you've already got properties that people want to read. Just stop mucking it up. Just go back a while and look at the stuff that was being made and come up with some good stuff. I mean, I know it sounds easier said than done, but I'm just like, all this agenda-driven stuff is just like, wow, man, this is exactly what I don't want in my comics.
Yeah. You don't want to. You don't want to push away the fan base, the very fans who have been reading your books for over 40 years.
Yeah.
That it's like they got rid of all the business-minded people and just filled it with people who have fifis.
Yeah. And they're all in their feelings, losing all kinds of money, but telling all the things about all their little insecurities. And it's like everybody has insecurities, but that's not what we pick up comic books for.
Right. So what has crowdfunding been like for you?
You know what? I'll tell you, crowdfunding. So I'll break it into a couple different pieces. I mean, it's like the process of crowdfunding is like a roller coaster, in that you're kind of, in one regard, you're looking at, well, can I get the backing, to really start, building something that's more sustainable. So in that regard, I think from a timing perspective, like you've got your 30 days, it's literally like a roller coaster, or maybe like I don't know, what is that? Cosine or sine wave,
Sine wave.
Yeah. So kind of, it kind of dips in the middle, and that gives you a little bit of anxiety. But in terms of what I've really come to enjoy the most is the community. I'll tell you, the best part about this is just the people that have come alongside, and that you start to, you really get to know people and people that are backing. And that to me is amazing, because when I first got into comics, and I was first published through Diamond, you don't know anybody. You don't even know who's buying your books, and I get that you don't know who's buying your books, but Diamond also didn't let you know what shops were buying your books. So so it wasn't even like I was able to build a rapport with particular shops and say like, hey, what's working or what's not. You're just kind of out there in limbo, but in the way this movement is now, it's very democratic, but it's also very kind of personal. I mean, it's like people can easily follow you. I can follow them back, and we can DM, and we see each other in chats, just like I'm seeing Yodam and Eric, in the chat. I see people in chats, and these are people that, I've grown an affinity to, that we get to chat, and that never existed before, and I think in that regard, it's a very different industry. And the thing that I like about it is, you can't fake that for too long. I mean, over time, either you're going to have to enjoy making comics, and you're going to have to enjoy the people that read comics, or you're just not going to be in it. Because the thing that I never understood people that made comics. Like, I would go to shows sometimes, and there were folks that would make comics, and you see them on a panel, and you're like, man, they seem to not like comic book readers. It's like, I spent my money to come to the show. I spent my time to wait in a line to get into this panel. And you're basically kind of disparaging people like me that love comics. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to stand anymore. I don't think people are going to be able to hide behind companies. People want to see who's creating the books now. And that's going to be part of their decision-making process. Not from what are your politics or anything like that, but just are you really a comic book creator? You know, or do you really love this medium of comics? You know, or, you know, is this just a, you know, and if it is for some folks, some folks it's just a stepping stone, right? They make comics so that they can pitch the comics for movies and TV. And that's, I have nothing against that. My only challenge with that is when I see books like that, they seem to be constrained in their creativity because they're thinking of a budget. They're like, okay, if this translates to a TV show or to a movie, you know, I've got to keep this budget in a place, you know, where that can happen. And that's the beauty of comics. Your budget is just your page rate and your imagination.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and I love the books of the 80s, whether it was Fantastic Four or Thor or whatever. You're going all over the universe in one issue. Oh, nobody cares. You know, nobody cares about the budget to do those things.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, you just want to tell an awesome story.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that's one thing that one advantage comics has over every other medium.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about escapism. And, you know, once they started drifting away from that, I mean, it's like, what's the point? It's like you're turning your comic books into newspapers, the new version of newspapers, graphical newspapers. And there's no fun in that. Welcome, Yotam Darkstar, and good morning to Eric McIntyre. Good to have you guys. Yeah, comics are about escapism and also inspiration. Yep. I don't like when established characters are getting massive changes, like when they made Plastic Man into a transgender person. I had not heard that. Plastic they? Oh, shoot. Welcome, Daniel. Hail. That's nuts. That's just crazy. I think EVS posted it. Oh, dang it. Popped out. I did not drop him. Don't worry. I did not drop him. I'm just waiting for him to pop back in. Check out Magna. Ah, here he is.
Oh, sorry about that, Wayman. Internet just booted me. Maybe I was saying too much. And I needed to get shut down.
They're taking you down, man.
I know.
They're trying to keep the man down.
Seriously.
No.
But I don't say any of that out of malice. You know, I say that actually all of that out of love. I love comics.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. We all do. It's something we grew up with. It was something that we spent our free time doing. And they're just like spitting in our faces, throwing the comic books we love, rubbing it in the dirt. Go ahead.
I see what Eric posted, and actually I saw there's an article about Plastic Man. I actually refused to read it. So I didn't see. I know it was something about a woman or something. I looked at the title of it, and I was actually just like, I'm not reading this.
Oh my gosh, that was Gail Simone's doing. Oh,
and I thought she knew better.
Man.
So while you know, let me educate myself. I'm going to take just a quick look at that. I avoided it.
Gail Simone did that to Plastic Man and got a huge backlash for it. Oh, I bet she did, and she deserves it. I think I saw a thumbnail for one of EVS's videos, and I hadn't gotten to it yet. Excuse me. But, oh, man. Yeah. That's probably what it's all about.
Yeah, it's, you know, at the end of the day, I love what's going on in the CG community. I love what you know, kind of the books that are being made, the passion that's been brought back to comics. I mean, my wife will be the first one to tell you. I mean, I've bought more comics in the last year than I bought in a long time.
Same here.
You know.
Same here.
You know.
I mean, ever since I heard about ComicsGate in late 2019. I've been backing books, but I backed two much and too fast, and now I'm broke.
I know. No, it's funny that you say that because literally it was about a week ago. My wife was just like, I'm revoking your credit card rights. She showed me, she's like, here's our credit card bill. I'm like, whoa. She's like, that's you. I'm like, oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't have as many books as you, but I have a whole bunch of books this holiday that I have not that I've received, but I haven't read. So I'm purposing to go into 2021. I can't have all these books that I haven't read. So
yeah,
during the holiday season, I'm just going to spend some time and just read a bunch of books that I've been waiting to read. So I'm excited about that.
Honestly, I have to do the same thing. I back all these books, but because I'm spending so much time, between my regular job and promoting CG books, I literally haven't read a single book yet. And I have like what? Let me take a quick look see actually. So
I saw what Eric just said. That sounds atrocious of what they're doing to Plastic Man.
Oh,
I mean, it's unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. Just use established female characters or make new characters.
yes. That's what they don't get. They want to take established characters and turn them on their head and mock us and destroy what many will view as role models even.
Yeah.
Superman has always been a symbol of hope. And Spider-Man's always been the kid that you can relate to.
Exactly.
And Batman's kind of like the one you, in one respect, you sympathize with from what he's gone through, but at the same time, he kind of does all the kick-assing that you can't or don't have the ability to do in real life.
Yeah. And the thing that's amazing too, it's like on one hand, comics are complaining about kind of aging out and not bringing kids to the table, but it's like, okay, well, who's gonna bring kids to the table at the end of the day? It's like people can choose to have whatever kind of family they want, if it's an untraditional family or whatever, but it's like there's still only one way that God made for making kids.
Yeah.
So as someone that has kids, I'm not going to introduce my kid to those books. And I'm not saying that to be messed up, but I'm not. So where's the path to people getting their kids into books when there are comic book readers? But I don't want to introduce my kids to these characters as they are.
Right. I agree.
There's already enough. Kids today have it rough enough as it is.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to let my kids know that, they're not mistakes. They, and no one on the planet should feel like they're a mistake. No one on the planet should feel like, yeah, God or nature, whatever you feel, got it wrong. No way. That's so damning and so destructive to a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nowadays, it seems like, in trying to do my part in helping raise my kids, it seems like things for them have gotten more stressful and more anxious. That is becoming more common for, younger kids, even in like middle school and high school, to be on anxiety medication.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. Pastmaster Dan says, good to see John Hervey is doing another project.
Appreciate it, man.
Eric says, oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You got it.
Eric says, John, you mentioned you worked on Trouble Man. Was that comic based off the Trouble Man movie?
So my friend Chuck Drost, who created that property, he had a lot of different interests. And there's an old movie, old kind of movie called Trouble Man back from like the 70s, if that's what you're talking about. It had a little bit of elements of that, but actually his was mixed like that, mixed with Men in Black in space. So mix that with Men in Black and Mobius, and that was my friend's Trouble Man book, and he's actually a strong enough artist to pull it off. So you definitely got some of the influence for Trouble Man. Unfortunately, only 3 issues of it ever printed, because after that, Motown got out of the comic book business. But that was the first book I got to work on, and that was a load of fun, man. And it's just, it's a fun book, and that's why, like I said, that's why I'm in this community, because that's what I want in my books. I want good, fun books, that just are just adventurous, and all of us, we have to, we're not out trying to just out and out offend people, but we can't take ourselves all that seriously either. We can't, our skin can't be that thin, about stuff.
Yeah, that's a fact. You gotta have a tough skin, because you're gonna get criticism from every direction.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's criticism that helps you grow rather than be destructive and pointless and just to be in spite. When you said that Motown got out of comics, what happened to the group who were making the comics? It wasn't spun off into its own company?
No, we all just got let go.
Oh.
So it was unfortunate. So basically the group was formed by Michael Davis. He put a deal together with Motown in probably the early 90s. So at the time he put the deal together, Image was booming. They had books that were doing $1 million an issue. So I think at that time, my favorite book was probably Pit. There were some amazing books, and just this whole indie revolution was occurring. So Motown kind of looked at those numbers and said, "Hey, let's get into comic books." Michael Davis, and he was one of the founding members of Milestone. He was able to put the deal together. By the time they got the deal finalized, it was like mid-90s, and the office was in Mid-Wilshire in Los Angeles area, and most of them came from New York. So he had a studio called Bad Boys, and he brought like his guys with him, but he needed a couple extra folks. So a buddy of mine, who's a game executive producer now, he got on board, and then he brought me on board as basically a gopher. So I was just a gopher. He just knew I wanted to be there. I'm just a comic book nerd. He's like, I know you would love being over here. So I was just like that little dog that was yipping at the heels of the CEO, Mike Davis, all the time. And I got an idea, I got a pitch, I got an idea, and he's just like, dude, he's like, I just need you to like go get some coffee and some donuts and just go do something. Yeah, just
a gopher.
No, I was a gopher, dude.
Yeah.
I was a gopher. But I had all kinds of ideas. So what ended up happening over the course of time, he put in a solicitation to Diamond, and the guy that was supposed to write the book flaked. So he's like, hey, John, I need you to come. It was on a Thursday. He's like, I need you to come back. Next Tuesday, I need a finalized script in my hand, and I need kind of where the remainder of the story arc goes. No pressure, but, if this sucks, don't worry. You won't be working in this industry anymore. You understand, Mike Davis is like that uncle that you love and that uncle that you hate. He's the guy that like, oh, Uncle Mike is coming to dinner. What is he going to say and do this time? Because he's just going to do and say whatever he wants to do, and he's going to say it however he wants to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me that, but I didn't tell him this until years later. And he was like, that like, actually I had a whole bunch of stuff already written, because all these guys in his studio that he brought, all these kids were from New York, and they didn't have any cars, so they all lived within walking distance of the office. And I had a car. So I would go to like Chuck's house or apartment after work, and we would riff on his story. So I had ideas, I had stuff written for it already, and it was aligned with what he wanted to do as a creator.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually already had just about everything written. Just because I'm a nerd like that. I already just kind of wrote stuff out. So he sent me off, and I acted like I was slaving away for a few days. I did clean some things up, bounce some things off Chuck, make sure they wanted what's what he wanted, and then that following Tuesday, I came back with the script, and he liked it, and so Mike's like, okay, this is fine, so we'll go this direction. and that was that. That was how I ended up writing Trouble Man for Motown Machine Works, and that was kind of my entry. You know, I've always loved comics. That was the first time I got published, though.
Well, that was also cool that it was like an open door policy. It was such a small company at the time that you could approach the CEO without fear.
Yeah.
So, was there any kind of issue about the book being called Trouble Man and there already being a Trouble Man movie?
No, and I guess the way it works is the way IP works. And I'm not an expert in this at all, but like there are particular marks that you have to get for comics versus video games versus TV. So like there was already a movie mark out there. So
Right.
they took the comic one. And then I guess if they were to have made it, they would have had to have called it something else, like Motown's Trouble Man or something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
but in terms of comics, the mark was available, so they were able to take care of it and do it.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Catch up on chat here. Eric says the article was about Plastic Man movie with a female lead role. Yeah, they're always trying to change the gender, trying to change the race.
So it's not really Plastic Man now, is
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Plastic woman.
Yeah.
Or plastic non-binary or something.
Oh no.
Welcome, Diller Draws. It isn't.
Hey, Diller Draws.
When you take an established character and change them to conform to what you want them to be, it's called fan fiction. Yes, it's like it's like the Disney Star Wars trilogy. That's fan fiction.
Yeah, I know. The Buckler wouldn't have any of that.
Yeah, really. He wouldn't put up with that.
Yeah, that's ridiculousness.
Past Master Dan says, let them become adults before ruining their life.
I was laughing when I saw that. That's exactly how it is.
Welcome, Darksiders Comics. Good to have you.
Like those Omega beams coming off of his little icon there.
Yeah. Working and watching streams. Nice. So good to have you. And hey, buddy, good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Milestone, Michael Davis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice. I like Milestone back in the day. Hardware and Icon and Rocket were my favorites.
Yeah, and I was also a big Static fan, and I think that ingratiated me to Mike because that was his character.
Is that the same as Static Shock?
So I don't know why, but when they made a cartoon, they made the character Static Shock.
Huh.
But Static was the original character.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So do they retain the same costume and backstory and all that?
I think he had a slightly different costume, but I think they kept the number of the elements.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
And they actually didn't. They didn't butcher it, So Mike wasn't upset, by that. And honestly, it seems a lot of the times when, in terms of just properties, when they're doing other media, it seems like for the most part, animation does a pretty good job, And I guess maybe I don't know if it's I don't know why, but animation seems to do a good job. Sometimes some of the live action stuff, I don't know if it's budgetary or whatever, they seem to get a little bit off the rails.
Yeah. To that point, it's animation often gets props of how they handle the IP. They seem to be more true to the source material.
Yeah.
Like Clone Wars got a lot of good feedback. Batman, the animated series, got a lot of good feedback. And even the Harley Quinn streaming series has gotten great feedback.
Yeah.
So, the beauty of animation is You can, do a lot of like stunts and action scenes that you can't pull off in live action yet.
That's true.
But at the same time, in order to animate something, you often have to like simplify the design and not put as much detail into it.
Yeah.
But then they make up for the action and the dialogue and stuff like that.
And some of it is just like for instance, I'd like to see an X-Men movie with the X-Men and actually X-Men costumes. I like those. I didn't want to see them in like those black we're ashamed to be, comic booky heroes costume. That's what I'll tell you what I liked, and I didn't even particularly like the movie that much though, was I liked in the Apocalypse movie, I forgot her name, but she plays Psylocke and she looked like Psylocke. I'm like, see, you could do it. You could do it. You could do it if you want to. And actually, I like the fact that she looked like Psylocke. That made me happy.
I think it's Olivia Munn.
There you go.
Yeah. I think she did look a lot like her. I was kind of looking.
But her costume, too. I mean, she wore the blue kind of Jim Lee-ish costume.
Right.
Oh, man, Eric, you're reading my mind, bro. That they needed to do Storm right. That would have been a lovely, lovely thing.
I still think they might have been able to find some way to make Psylocke Psylocke's uniform a little more skimpier and add more of the straps around the legs.
That's true, but I was happy with it. I was happy to see a costume that looked like. Kind of the heyday, like it looked like a Jim Lee Psylocke, and I was like, "That's cool."
Comic book accurate.
Yeah.
There was, I think, a little scene in what was it, X2, where Wolverine opened up the case, when they were going to suit up, and it had the comic book version of the uniform that was yellow. Like yellow spandex and stuff.
But he never put it on.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a wink, or they made a joke of it.
Either that or they're just saying how ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Eric says, I don't know why live action usually butchers characters. Yeah, if I ever had an IP that got far enough to become a movie property, I would really want it to be, accurate in terms of costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
And like you already read, I would like to see Storm that looks like Storm.
Yes,
there were some early rumblings or rumors that they might introduce Storm in Black Panther 2. But I don't know if that's going to happen now, because it sounds like the big battle is going to be between Black Panther and Namor.
Okay.
And then they also have to deal with explaining how Shuri becomes the new Black Panther.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do.
They've got a big challenge on their hand with that.
Oh man, yeah. Chadwick Boseman did a good job, I think.
I don't know Anne Ogbomo. I'm about to look her up. Eric was saying he thinks, and I know I'm totally just off the rails, but I want to see.
One good live action adaptation is The Witcher. I've heard about that. I think the perfect person to play Storm would be Anne Ogbomo. Let's see here.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, I'm looking her up right now.
Me too.
Oh, she could definitely pull it off. Oh wow. Yeah, you got me there, Eric. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Just get her in the right costume. I'll be a happy man.
Whoa, looks like she works out too.
Yeah, as she should. Just give her the Storm white, wig, and put her in the right costume.
Yeah, it looks like she could work. Oh, and she was in Wonder Woman. Okay.
And I agree, Eric. That'd be awesome.
Oh, wait.
But just because we think it's awesome won't happen.
Exactly. That's usually how it works out. Oh, she was in Krypton as well, or I don't know if Krypton has already been released or if it's still in production. Not bad at all, yeah. Let's see. And Bomo played in the Krypton, the TV show. Okay, so it is out.
Mm-hmm.
She is fit, gorgeous, and dark skinned. Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
a lot of people talk about in the Hollywood news about how so many of the black actresses are like light skin black instead of dark skin black. And that's kind of where Black Panther, the movie, kind of broke a lot of those boundaries because they started representing the darker skin, which was cool.
No, it's very cool. You know, I think that movie would have been very challenged if they tried to do anything else than that. So I'm glad they did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved all the beautiful clothes as well.
Yeah.
And every different tribe had a unique look to them. Yeah, she was in Amazon. Yep. Just checked out a couple of pictures there. So give us your spiel on Magna, the Last Pantheon.
All right. So for Magna, for those that backed Black Tiger, this is in the same universe. But this predates the Black Tiger story that you, if you back that, if you got. This occurs in 1942. And our protagonist, Kadi Skogsholm, she has lived a very sheltered life. And her reveal occurs when a beast attacks her family, and she has to use her powers that she's hidden over the years to protect her family. In protecting her family, she learns that her family is actually, her parents are not her biological parents. They've adopted her. And they actually came from their homeland in Finland to America to protect her. And they'd seen this creature before when she was a baby. So this sends her on a journey of self-discovery. She returns to her adoptive parents' homeland of Finland. And as she is searching for clues as to who she is, she finds herself in the midst of some of the World War II conflicts that's going on, particularly in Finland, between Finnish and Russian troops. And then she eventually does find her way to Asgard, where she meets a conglomeration of the last of the mighty men of old, the last of the deities. And it's a hodgepodge pantheon. There's some from the Egyptian pantheon, some from the Aesir, the Asgardian pantheon, some from the Chinese pantheon, and some from the Olympian Greek pantheon. And they have banded together strictly for the sake of survival, and they're the last of their kind. So she finds herself, as she's discovering more about herself, she finds herself in the midst of their struggle. And that is the crux of what this first volume is about. And this first volume is 75 pages, and the second volume is another 75 pages that will come out subsequently, and that'll complete the story arc. But all the production is completed. So you'll get this book, we'll do another Black Tiger campaign, and then we'll finish this story arc subsequently. So 2021 is going to be a fun and busy year.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now you're at 3335. That's a cool number.
That is a cool number.
76 backers.
Yeah, I'm grateful, man.
667% of $500 flexible goal. $500 is not a whole lot of money. So, does this give you a lot more padding to make sure you stay in the black?
So, I mean, kind of the way I approached it, since production was already paid for, you know, I'm really trying to use these campaigns where I already have the books in place, hopefully as a launch pad to start building a following.
Yep.
So that I can keep the runway go, you know, kind of keep the production going. So yeah, I mean, of course the three, you know, the $3,000 so far, that doesn't cover what it costs to produce the book, but I'm just kind of forward looking. So any monies that we do make on this book will go to the production of the next volume of Magna. So the intent is to be able to build the runway and then hopefully get enough of a following so that we can stay ahead of the production curve. And if I can start funding the coming books, and then the books that are in the campaign are already completed, then people have the assurance of knowing, okay, I'm going to get this book. It's not a matter of, oh, if John stumbles or something happens, this book isn't coming, because the book's already completed. It's just a matter of, you know, printing and distribution. So, which isn't in and of itself is a whole nother animal, but you'll get the book because the book is already completed.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, because once your book is complete, it gives you so much leeway. You have so much more time to actually dedicate to promotion, getting on streams.
Yeah.
You know, allowing people to get to know you better. Remind me again, do you have a YouTube channel, don't you?
I do. So my YouTube channel is Beyond Time Inc., just like there in my tag. So it's the same as my Twitter and my Instagram. So I think the cool thing that you'll find there's a couple cool items that you'll find there. One is made a 10-minute animatic. So if you look at, stay right there. Yeah, that one right there that you clicked on.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 10-minute animatic of Magna. And, you know, go ahead, hop in, subscribe to the channel. I want to be able to make more stuff like this. So you know, we got some great folks to voice act in it and some folks to provide music. So it's literally a 10-minute animatic of Magna. And, you know, it's part of just kind of the creative process and what I want to be able to bring to the table, you know, over time. And it just takes time to make things like that. But would love for people to hop on board and just give it a go. Check it out.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to drop the link in there for your YouTube channel. Eric says, I know John Law, and that hurts my soul. That's why CG is succeeding. The creators are fans themselves.
Exactly. And that was one of the big realizations for me, kind of before CG became a big thing, and when comics were heading in a direction that I didn't like, why I stopped spending my money on comics, is I was like, well, if they don't love what they're making, and I knew I loved their books, I love their characters more than they love them, I was like, something's wrong. If I love their characters more than they love them, I'm just gonna be getting disappointed and heartbroken all the time. So you know, so I'm like, I'm not interested. You know, I'm not a masochist like that. But I love what's going on in CG, because people love these are their babies. These are their projects that they wanted to make for whether it's a new idea or for years.
Yeah.
And they're putting their best foot forward. That's what I want to see in comics.
Absolutely. Hexalon Comics, welcome.
Yeah, Mel.
Pantheon.
The Nylon Pantheon. You know what, brother? You may get a little bit different than what you're expecting when you get in the book, but you'll still like it.
Eric's looking forward to this book, as am I.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to getting this book in your hands. And yeah, I definitely would not be if you want to get the other covers, I mean, I was just really fortunate with with Elizabeth Tork and her brother. They just made phenomenal cover art for this book.
Yeah, this is one good looking book.
So I'm just so happy top to bottom with the cover art. I'm really excited about the story that we're telling and Marcio Abreu's ability to bring that story to life in a sequential form, because that's an art, of course, as we know, in and of itself, sequential art. And yeah, I'm excited for this campaign, and I'm really grateful to everybody that's that's supporting it. Yeah, that's the her showing a little bit of her power there. Not just any farm girl. She's lifting a tank.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. I call that the Behold the Pantheon, where the Pantheon there with that light, that almost heavenly light beaming down, and they're looking down at her, that supernatural light, and they're kind of looking down their nose at her.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just wanted to make sure that I showed pages so that people can see that everything, including the lettering, is completed. I didn't want to give so much that it gave away the story, but I wanted people to be able to see it.
Yeah, I like and appreciate your inclusion of like characters like the Monkey King and dragons. And
yeah,
I love dragons.
Yeah, and that's so cool because I guess kind of the way the mythology worked, there was dragons on the four corners of the earth, so those were like the dragons from the four corners of the earth, so to speak, that the Chinese pantheon was fighting. And then just having fun with definitely taking some license with some stories of myth. All the stories of myth, they kind of have a story of beginning and ending, so took some license to tie together the endings of these different pantheons, and kind of makes for a fun story, in that regard. And I'm hoping that people really enjoy it. I know that I've really been enjoying the creative process, and I think it's a story that people are going to have a good time with.
Everybody remember #Nerdtastic. Nerdtastic.
Nerdtastic.
So in terms of the perks, man, this looks so good. That's Red Sonja, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 5 more of those remaining from Marcio Abreu's commission. So basically, you get a copy of the book. You get to choose which of the 3 covers that you want, and then you also get an 8x10 bust sketch of any character you're choosing. So even if it's a character of your own, he said just provide him with references, and he'll do, it's really a bust drawing of any character you're choosing. Mm-hmm. So he did this really cool one because he did a lot of work on Red Sonja and Warlord of Mars. So he did, this is an example of what you would get, for a bust sketch of a character of your choosing. So he did that nice Red Sonja bust sketch, and I kind of like how he kind of tattooed his name right there on her.
Right. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Eric says, yeah, the thing that made me stop collecting was Mark Waid. Superman is my all-time favorite character, and was so disappointed that Mark Waid, who was once my favorite writer, was talking crazy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. At the end of the day, it's the same thing that's kind of going on with all these different actors. It's like, just let us enjoy the medium without, polluting it with all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman to me is an iconic character. I always loved Superman because, like, when I was growing up, I was watching the Super Friends. So it's like Superman was one of the first books I picked up. I hadn't made the connection between the Justice League and Super Friends, so I didn't really pick up the Justice League books, but I picked up like Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman. And then in the 80s when they had the original Crisis, and then John Byrne kind of reconstructed Superman with Man of Steel. Man, I love that. You know, I mean, he did such a great job with that character. You know, and you know, Superman. I don't know. Superman's a character I've always found fascinating. I never found Superman boring. I think there's so many great stories to tell with him, and you know, just the fact that he's somebody that has this amazing power, but he's got such a great conscience that, you know, he doesn't operate the way that a Batman can. He doesn't let loose. You know, and that was actually one of the fun things. Like I said, animation does a good job. If you watch the Justice League, the cartoons, there was Justice League and then the Justice League Unlimited. One of the things I love so much about it was one of the last Justice League Unlimited episodes was Superman finally let loose, and he finally let loose on Darkseid, you know, and that was awesome, you know, because he never fully lets loose,
right?
You know, and you know, it's just I like that version of Superman, you know, because, you know, to me the vengeful Superman is a very scary character. You know, and even a Superman that's, you know, what I loved about, you know, going back to the movies like Superman 2 was Superman when he retreated from Metropolis and everybody thought he was being cowardly. It's because he didn't want all that destruction. He didn't want all that destruction to happen. He could have beat them there, but he didn't want all the people to die in the process of that fight. And that's where I was a lot disappointed in the newer Superman movies when he gets engaged in a fight in a place where hundreds of thousands of people die. Because I'm like, that's not what Superman would do. He would take the fight somewhere where people wouldn't get hurt because he's Superman. Yeah. Superman's not going to just, you know, here we go. I'm going to power up here and I don't care if 100,000 people die. I'm just going to have this massive super fight in the middle of a metropolis. Superman wouldn't do that.
Right. It's kind of visually appealing, but it's like out of...
That's why they did it. Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if Superman had this ginormous fight in the middle of the city and all these people are dying and all these buildings are falling and all this kind of stuff? Yeah, it would look cool, but Superman wouldn't do that.
Right. Totally out of character. I mean, I love big, drawn-out, kick-ass fights where, you know, buildings and, you know, heroes are being smashed through buildings just as the next person, but if you try and pair it up with the character of Superman, it just doesn't work.
No, he wouldn't do that.
I mean, like, that's why I like Dragon Ball Z, because it kind of works there.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you're dealing with other planets and they've got nothing but destruction.
Yeah.
And Eric says, CG reignited my hobby again. Welcome, Kino Subway. Ahoy.
Chris.
Eric says, yeah, me too. He could rule with brute force if he wanted, but leads by example. And that is why I like Superman. He's genuinely good.
Yeah.
Definitely. Superman wouldn't have killed Zod either.
It's not who he is.
Yeah. Magna is going to be kick-ass.
Appreciate that, Chris. You know, I think, and that's part of it. It's like, of course, there are awesome things that we want to see happen in books, but I think it's more important to stay true to who the characters are.
Yep.
You know, and that's when you kind of lose sight of who the characters are. That's when things start going off the rails.
Sure. Yeah, it's like jumping the shark.
It really is.
So you got the Magna digital. So you got the digital version of the book.
That's right.
When it comes to doing digital books, does it have literally all three covers one after the other when you look at it?
So the way it works is, since it's actually 3 issues, it's formed more like 3 floppies.
Okay.
So the first part of the story has the first cover, then the second, and then the third. So you get everything. You get all 3 of the covers, but you get it more of like in a floppy format.
Okay. Good deal. And And then paperback graphic novel Torque cover number.
So that's your first cover choice, and that's where the Werebeast, and that's actually one of the spawn of Fenrir. So I know that there's been a lot of werewolf books, and I guess this is still a werewolf, but it's not one that turns back into a man. That is what he is.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the graphic novel Torque cover number 2.
Yeah. A little bit of power up, level up. It's funny. When I was actually on, I think I was on Chris's show, and Sim did a really cool picture of Peregrine, and but she was like lifting I think a submarine or a boat. So I had to let him know. I'm like, look, this isn't the full extent of her power, man. She's just giving you a little demonstration. So I'm like, okay, these ladies may have to meet up at some point, and and flex some muscles. You know how crossovers work. It's like, if you cross over, you got to fight first. So I say all that in jest. Sim did an awesome picture for Peregrine, and it was just kind of like that. It's just a level up picture. It's like, okay, she's not just some normal person. She's got power.
Yeah, for sure.
And then of course there's the Vieira. Behold the Pantheon. Image.
Magna print trifecta. All right, so that's all 3 books together in print format, right?
Yes, sir.
All
so
right.
you get all 3. You get all 3 11 by 17 prints in the print trifecta.
Yep. Next one is the graphic novel trifecta.
That's right. So I know Eric was considering getting the other ones. If you do that, you're better off canceling what you did and getting this, because it'll be a lot cheaper this way than doing it a la carte because of the shipping. The price point is lower, by $5, but then the shipping, if you get it all together, is also cheaper than if you add it on a la carte.
Wait, so the print trifecta, is that literally 3 floppies versus?
Nope. So that's 3 prints. That's just cover prints.
Oh,
just
yeah,
the cover.
the prints.
So that's just the covers for the prints. The print covers.
All right.
Whereas this is
the book itself.
The book itself.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, and you get a copy with each of the 3 covers.
Yeah, that's a good price.
Yeah.
And then the double trifecta, that's where you get like 2 of every graphic novel.
So you get each of the 3 books with each of the 3 covers. Then you also get the 3 prints.
Oh, the prints. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then this one right here is the Rod Super Looper Commission.
Yeah, I know someone's going to jump on this, because for those of you that back Black Tiger, Rod is the penciler for Black Tiger. And what he's actually providing here is you get a copy of the book, your choice of cover, but he also will provide you with a full body pencil and ink drawing of any character of your choosing. And once again, if it's a character of yours, then just provide him with references and he'll do the character. But it's really cool. I mean, it's going to be pencil and ink, drawing. So and you guys have seen his artwork. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Christine.
All right. Oh, yeah. Welcome, Christine. Let me see. Man is going to be kick-ass. Yep. Yotam Darkstar. Hello.
Well, thanks, Kino Subway. Then my objectives are all met. If that's your best CG waifu.
Eric says, I think a fight between Zod and Superman would have been perfect in the Antarctic where the fortress should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, going back to that, you have to do things that are consistent with the character, and Superman just wouldn't he would not engage unless it was life or death and there's no other way. But he could have just like in Superman 2, he could have redirected that fight. You know, because they weren't after the city, they were after Superman. He could have redirected that fight somewhere where people would not have been hurt. And that's who Superman is. You know, not fighting someplace where hundreds of thousands or millions of people die. You know, that's not victory. That's definitely not victory for Superman.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, so Chris, so you definitely get the you know, Red Riding Hood. You know, but she's not so little.
All right, let me see. Chris says, I just realized Magna with the son of Fenrir could also be Little Red Riding Hood with the big bad wolf. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Magna is the best CG waifu.
Except for Red Riding Hood isn't so little, and she's gonna give the wolf a whooping.
I will probably upgrade my backing before the campaign closes to get all the covers because I figure Sim will want one of mine, knowing that Canadian.
That's all right. You can just put it over to the side with the other things that you haven't sent to Sim yet.
There you go. Same here. I want the 2 other covers. Yeah, I want them all.
Thanks, Yodam.
I want them all. I want them all.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the. You know, with the cover art, they do a great job. You know, if you considered each of the issues kind of like a chapter in the story, you know, each of the covers kind of gives you the flavor of what happens, you know, in that issue or that chapter, without too much of a spoiler. But it really gives you the essence, you know, of kind of what's happening in those pages.
Yeah.
So it was.
Oops. Oh, I was going to show you real quick, just to give you an idea how much reading I have left to do.
Yeah, I want to see that.
186 backings.
Wow.
So, yeah, I got a bit of reading. Uh-oh, shoot. I keep closing out of things. I'm boomering it. Wah, wah.
Well, it looks like the Ghetto Dragon hit its number, which is good.
Man, this is looking cool. I'm really excited about this project.
We are live from Hashtag Studios.
Oh,
hey,
crap.
everyone. Welcome. Welcome to my stream. Hold on. My camp.
We got Photobomb by Art Thibbert.
That was a funny stream. Yeah, let's see. 3345 77 backers. So everybody back this book. It's looking really good. I think the general consensus is everyone wants all the covers. So that's pretty sweet.
I appreciate that.
Is the wolf Fenrir? Christine backed the digital. She wanted to back the physical, but 35 shipping fee is just too high. She's afraid. Wanted to read this though. Yep.
I appreciate the support, Christine, and I fully understand.
I backed 37 and thought that was a lot. Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah, you and Adam Lawson are like in super backer mode. I think I've backed. Because I'm up to 80 something now.
Mm-hmm.
So I backed, and now majority of that was this year. So, but I'm not on the level of you guys. You guys are like, you know, a whole nother level of backing.
Yeah. And believe it or not, there are people who back even more. You know, like Mr. Biggins, and there's a few others, I'm pretty sure. Joe Frago's getting up there too.
Oh yeah, Frago's
like
awesome.
Nipping up my heels. I got to try and maintain some lead.
Yeah, you got to get you got to get a little bit of distance.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you got the floor. Share with the world how you can be found on social media.
So you can find me at Beyond Time Inc. You can find me there on of course, Twitter and on Instagram. And that is also Beyond Time Inc. is where you can also find my YouTube channel. If you check out the YouTube channel, you'll find there's a 10-minute animatic that accompanies Magna. So give that a look. And there's also a 20-minute short that we made for Black Tiger a few years back that won the Spirit of Comic-Con award. So you can check those things out. Please subscribe and like those. And my intention is to try and continue to provide some content like that for you guys to enjoy. So just appreciate all of you. Thank you all for your support.
Awesome. Chris says the wolf is one of Fenrir's spawn, a child of Fenrir, Eric, if I remember right.
That's right.
Christine says, I have no idea what number I'm at, lol. I got too scared to look after I hit 100. Ooh, boy. I think you may have passed Froggo. So, I mean, heck, for all I know, you might be past me. Yeah, so I'm on Facebook and YouTube at WyzGyz Entertainment. I'm also on Twitter at WyzGyz Tweets and a number of other social media platforms that I don't use as much. You can also find me on Twitch at WyzGyz Entertainment. Please like, comment, subscribe, mark the bell for notifications, and be sure and select all notifications. Hopefully you'll get notified. But just keep an eye on the channel if you don't receive the notifications. Drop some comments down below. Let us know what you're most excited about regarding Magna, The Last Pantheon, Volume 1. Congratulations on your success and your continued success. We'll have to have you on again in the future.
Oh, I would love that. And once again, thank you to everybody. It's the community that makes this work. It's the community coming together, and it's just fun. We're all here in the chat and we're talking, and we're all backing all these different books and waiting for these different books, and like I know both me and Wayman, we got a whole bunch of books that this Christmas time I'm going to spend and read, because I can't go into the new year with a whole bunch of, like, a stack of books that I haven't read. So I'm going to spend some time over this Christmas, and I'm going to read some of these awesome books that I have backed and have received.
Let's see. Lol, nope, you are way out front, WyzGyz. So check it out. Look at
Chris, man.
215 contributions. Woo.
Okay, you're a beast, Chris.
I probably needs to cut back. That's pretty epic. Lol, damn, some huge backers in this chat. Yep.
Seriously.
Indeed. Yeah, if you haven't already, be sure and back Magna. Definitely
appreciate that,
worth
folks.
it. It's hella cool. Great artwork and story. Yeah.
Seriously.
Each stream is a mini Comic-Con. I love it. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, like, I've been doing a number of shows promoting Magna. My wife's like, how come you go on shows and then you just buy stuff? She's like, aren't you supposed to be? I'm like, because I see so many cool books. Like, I went on a show, even the show, Mail-In show yesterday. I bought at least half of the books that were there. I already bought, and then I bought a couple more during the show because I saw a couple of things that were cool. My wife was like, I don't know if this is working. I'm like, well, look, I'm getting some cool books. That's all I know. These are my birthday and Christmas gifts. Exactly.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. I just love it. Christina agrees. Right on. All right, we're going to wrap this up because I've got another stream to do.
Awesome.
If anyone's interested, come check it out. We're going to go over The Buckler.
Oh, John Dillard. That's my man.
We are closing out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's I've contributed to that as well.
Awesome. Thanks to everyone in chat. Thanks to everyone who watches this on replay, and thanks to our very special guest, John Hervey. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Wayman. Really appreciate you. And appreciate everybody. Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.
final guest is the only person below White Holiday in the ComicsGate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sammetti. The YouTube WyzGyz. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.